There we go. I think we're all set. All right, I'm going to call this meeting of the Coventry Technical Review Committee to order. The time is 1:30 on Monday, June 16th, 2025. First item on our agenda is the call to order determination of a quorum, and we see that the quorum of the Technical Review Committee is present. Next order of our business is the emergency evacuation plan. We all head out right out that door, right outside. Next order of business is the approval of the minutes. This is the only thing that we take motions on. For any member that's had a chance to review the minutes that were provided, I'll hear a motion on approval or if there are any amendments.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Dennis. So I have a motion from Dennis to approve the minutes as is. Any second on that?
Second.
Second by Director McGee. All in favor of approving the minutes as is, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, the ayes have it, the minutes are approved. So the next item of business will be our discussion comments of the three projects that we have in front of us. The first project is agenda item 4.1, Hidden Reserve Estates Phase 2. This is for comments to the administrative officer, myself. This is not going in front of the planning commission. This is a minor subdivision with no street extension. That means this is a staff level decision, and this is a pre-application. So this matter is not at a binding stage of review. This is just conversation for the applicant for feedback. The applicant proposes to subdivide a vacant 6.12 acre parcel into 3 conforming lots for the purposes of constructing one single family dwelling on each lot. I think that's enough background on this one. So what we tend to do, applicant, is we're just going to go around the table. Folks are going to give the comments. You may have received an email just recently with a copy of those comments. Josh, did you get a chance to email?
I did not have your email, so I sent it to your engineer.
Like you might have gotten an email literally 30 minutes ago or maybe an hour
I
ago.
probably left already. So.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so this is.
But there's nothing real heavy-handed here.
Okay.
So why don't we go around the table with the comments on this particular project? And then there's an opportunity if you guys have questions or discussion afterward. Again, this is a pre-application, so not a binding stage of review. And really what you've got with the pre-app is just this opportunity to discuss with the TRC because this is not going to a board.
Yeah.
So on this one, Mike, do you mind starting us off with the engineering comments?
For Hidden Reserve, right?
Hidden Reserve, please.
Engineering comments, general as follows. Upon project completion, a certificate of conformance from the civil engineer of record shall be required. The COC shall certify that the constructed project meets all required standards, regulations, and specifications in the permitting and construction documents. The COC shall be focused on the site. Civil related work. Work includes but is not limited to all drainage system components. Drainage related to retaining wall placement, earth grading, roadway subbase, pavement, concrete flat work, underground utilities such as sewer, electric, and water, survey markers and monuments, and fire cisterns. Certified engineer shall partner with qualified subconsultant to perform necessary inspection related duties if engineer of record does not perform these duties in-house. All coordination between engineer of record and inspection subconsultant shall be finalized before construction commences. Separate COCs shall be required from the structural engineer of record and geotechnical engineer of record as applicable. A certificate of occupancy will not be issued until COCs are received and accepted by the town.
Thank you, Mike. Oh, you got more?
Yes,
Sorry.
and comments on plans. Stormwater management practices shall be required for the roadway extension. Stormwater management practices shall be provided to treat the water quality volume of runoff from the proposed rooftops and driveways in accordance with the Coventry subdivision regulations and the state stormwater manual and the state of Rhode Island stormwater management guidance for individual single-family residential lot development. Practices could consist of qualifying pervious areas, rain gardens, or infiltration systems such as dry wells or crushed stone trenches. And third, submission of a town of Coventry soil erosion and sediment control application will be required for the project.
Thanks, Mike. Josh, will you pick up the planning comments, please?
Sure. Applicant proposes a minor subdivision creating 3 buildable lots with no variances. Subdivision will require an easement for a turnaround. Easements will allow for partial C access onto the public right-of-way of Rock Hill Road across partial B. Applicant states the turnaround cannot be moved any further west due to the slope present. Planning staff is seeking additional information on the specific site constraints, topography or otherwise, that limit the practical consideration of extending the public roadway improvements to partial C. Planning staff would support granting waivers from the sidewalk and curbing requirements of the subdivision regulations, as these would not connect with any existing network. In lieu of planting street trees, staff would accept a 10-foot no-cut buffer along the full length of the subject parcel's Rock Hill Road frontage. This should not be understood to prohibit the creation of a driveway to serve future development.
Thank you, Josh. Chief, I think you gave a comment, but it was I'll let you confirm if there was a no comment on this.
So for this one, there was no comments at this time.
Okay, great. And then I will read the comments we've received from the Planning Commission Chair, which were no comments at this time. And I'll also read the comments we received from the applicable fire district from Chief Katie of Central Fire. And those comments were: water supply for fire suppression purposes for the 3 proposed dwellings will need to meet the minimum requirements set by NFPA. A cistern will need to be installed due to the lack of fire hydrants in the area. The size of the cistern will be determined by the water flow required for the 3 dwellings. The plan doesn't show any proposed cul-de-sac or T at the end of the roadway beyond the 3rd house. I'll get to this comment in a second. I think there might have just been some misfire of communication on that. There shall be means for fire EMS apparatus to turn around and leave an incident if required. Street lighting should be added to assist with nighttime operations and apparatus maneuvering. Okay, fire in, these are my comments. Fire does get to have a say on where street lighting, should occur. I do believe the plan does show a proposed cul-de-sac. There is a turnaround that's shown on the plan. That's maybe the chief just didn't catch it in his first review of this, but I believe that the turnaround does include an easement on the middle parcel, parcel 2. So I think that to some degree the plan does address that comment. That's my iteration on the comments that were received, and I'm going to follow up with the chief to see if that particular comment he may feel as though he can address that before we finalize the record on the vote. Director McGee, do you have any comments on this one?
I do. As I indicated in my emails today, Rock Hill Road must be improved to the town of Coventry asphalt pavement standard to extend along the property lines. Proposed turnaround must be able to accommodate emergency vehicles. I didn't see anything with an easement for the people, the driveway for parcel C to enter and exit onto the easement that would be for the turnaround, the people on parcel B. So that needs to be clarified.
Okay.
Curbs and sidewalks do not need to be included in this application.
Great.
That's it.
So that are there any other comments on this application from the members of the TRC? So again, this is a pre-app that we can kind of just begin a general discussion. Mike, do you have a plan set of the proposed drawing with the showing the cul-de-sac and the easement?
I've got this one, I believe we submitted, so, I mean, basically, and the reason why, I mean, we're asking for this, and I kind of took, you guys did a Rice City Road not too long ago, which was a gravel road, very,
Other people, yeah.
we're relatively similar to this. We're allowed 20-foot gravel drive, asphalt ends right at our site here. We've got a 60-foot diameter turnaround over here. You said a question about an easement to get to lot.
This driveway is entering onto this property, so
Right.
Yeah.
it would have to have included in there the easement.
Yep.
to be able to get us that property.
Yep, Yep, so we're gonna give one to you, one to the town, and, you know, one to this, one to lot 3
But it
also.
wasn't, because it's not a gravel standard, it's two asphalt standards, what was recommendation.
Okay, all right, okay.
Oh, you're seeking an asphalt road?
Because that's what was supposed to be in phase 1, but got bypassed by planning. But it's Rock Hill Road was asphalt up to a point where the field is. Then he's got a couple lots that did not get paved, but the second period should be paved.
Understood, yeah, I thought, and
The
to be honest,
asphalt and right at the site. As it stands now.
At your site, yes,
Yes,
but there's asphalt for that. And the asphalt was supposed to have been improved in phase 1 and didn't get improved. You got that one bias.
what's the road width you're looking for, 20 feet?
Whatever the existing 20 feet is.
I think it, 14 feet the most.
Whatever Rock Hill is at the beginning,
That's
okay, let's just follow that through.
Okay, so basically you're comfortable with the width of Rock Hill and the paved width that exists just off of the subject site,
Correct.
and you want to extend that same width. So Mike, this will require a little follow-up from you to give us a measurement, and as you know, sometimes widths may vary. So I think we'll be seeking a width that, let's just say it varies, let's say it varies between 13 to 16 feet. I mean, I think we'll want you to pick it up at 16
Yeah,
feet.
yeah. We'll do a little more mapping. We'll actually map to the beginning of the previous 2-lot subdivision and.
What do I do within 2 houses? Do I need their permission? Nothing on there. Okay.
No, and then, the only other comment that we had on this, and Mike, you and I had a brief conversation.
Yes.
Where you indicated it's really the topography that's pushing you to seek to, make the turnaround and end the improvements of the public right of way where they are. I understand that in general terms, but I'm wondering if you can just explain in more specific terms what you found and why it's impracticable for you to extend the roadway farther down in front of lot C.
Well, I'm not seeing any kind of first off, I'm not seeing any kind of further developments west of this site. And then the town can, look at that and certainly do that. The reason for the pre-app is, I mean, this is mildly exception, a mild exception that we're requesting. It is based on topography. We've got the cul-de-sac kind of, in the flat area over here. After this, it drops off pretty substantially. So I'm looking at not only construction costs that my client will bear, but also the maintenance costs that the town will have in the future on this thing.
Yeah.
If we're gonna add all that much stormwater to extend a road for something that probably won't ever happen, there's, a piece across the street, but, then they can, if something happens over there. So I don't know, maybe I'm being pragmatic here and, I'm just looking for an easy solution that's both beneficial to the town and to the developer. I mean, why create a problem when we don't really have to, I guess is
What is
my.
the elevation at the proposed peel, and what's the elevation at the end of this property?
Well, we've got about elevation 434 right here.
Okay,
And then you can see it drops down
to what?
418 by the time you get to the end of the site. But you can see the steep slope in this area over here. So that would require,
Yeah.
a little more effort than I think is really necessary for this particular situation.
I think it's an understandable act. Kevin, do you have thoughts on the way it's designed now?
No, that's fine, as long as as long as we can turn around the cul-de-sac and we have the ability to have the road width. Same as what the Rock Hill is now.
All right. And we would ask for basically whatever road width we come up with, it's gonna be asphalted. We probably, again, based on the planning comments, probably a 10-foot shoulder cleared. And then a 10-foot no-cut buffer that abuts our lots anyway, so.
A
And
10-foot no-cut buffer that abuts your lots? You'd be within the public right away, you're seeking a no-cut.
well, no, the
public
planning
right-
department's going on the lots themselves,
Oh,
it'd be a
yes.
10-foot no-cut.
On the
buffer.
subject lots, yeah.
So-
And we did 10 because we looked at your OWTS designs, and obviously, especially that middle lot, you have to do septic in the front
Yeah.
because you got that wetland, so we were trying to work with you there.
Mhm.
Really, normally we might ask for more, but in this, it's a tight circumstance, but we
Yeah.
thought that 10 feet seemed like that's something you could accommodate, even
Yeah.
with getting your machines in and out in the area.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the general kind of feel of the whole area is people, people aren't clearing lots.
No.
And they're moving out there because they like to be out there.
Yeah, yeah, I
We're
mean,
off with that.
yeah, okay, that makes sense. Any other thoughts or comments on this application at this time? Okay, so in general, with that being said, I think the proposed design of where you've got the cul-de-sac, in general terms, seems to be appropriate. It
Mhm.
seems to meet the circumstances on the ground. I don't think the town is gonna be looking for you to improve beyond that point. Obviously, you understand that one of your lots is always gonna be reliant on an easement across another. That's, I don't think that makes it improper. It's just, it's a bit of a unique circumstance. So I think you've got your direction for the next stage of review. Your next stage of review again would be a staff level review only. You'd be back here in front of TRC with a fully designed plan. And I think that's all we've got on this one.
Street lighting is who's in charge of street lighting?
That's the police. They're not here at, sorry. I'm
Fire.
doing this to you. I get my chiefs mixed up. Yeah, I'm getting my chiefs mixed up. No, that's the fire chief, Chief Katie of Central Fire. He sent his comments. He is looking for street lighting here.
Yeah.
I do anticipate collaborating with him just to bring up and show the specific turnaround design that you have. And make sure that meets what he needs in terms of his turnaround of his apparatus.
Yep.
When you designed that, did you have a certain radius of that cul-de-sac?
That was town spec.
Okay, and then obviously, we're, for town spec, we even say we want a green center. We don't want those green centers.
No, that's awful to plumb.
Yeah, so that's fine, and I'm sure he'll take a good look at that. Do you have a question about street lighting? Was it really just to say, do you really want street lighting? Was that your question?
Well, I don't think there's a street light within a mile of this place, but,
I'll ask him when I bring it up,
yeah.
just to make sure he's aware there's not street lighting in other sections of Rock Hill Road.
I didn't do a street line, street, but
As you come down Rock Hill, there's no other street lighting there?
No,
I'll ask just for clarification. We defer to fire on that.
Okay.
The way to think about it is that every project technically owes a street lighting. It's just a matter of if they wish to waive it in circumstances where they think it won't be required. At the end of the day, I'll bring that up. This is all pre-app, so this is really just giving you direction, but we will wrap it up in the TRC report.
Yeah.
That just kind of memorializes the comments you've already heard.
again, I know there's no vesting here, just because of the nature of this thing, we were kind of,
Yeah.
just getting a feel of what you got, because I know this has gotta go to DEM, we gotta do that, we gotta
Yep.
do, and based on what DEM's happening now. We'll be lucky if you see this by the end of the year.
Yeah. So any other comments or thoughts on this one?
Just one question, do you have overhead utilities or underground utilities?
Overhead right now.
Is that? We'll have to look at our subregs.
Well, if we're not creating a street, I think we can maintain that.
Yeah, we'll look at our subregs.
No.
I don't disagree with where you're headed there, Mike.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure there is no technical waiver.
That
Wow.
must be the fireman.
We got two policemen right here and it's your
Okay,
phone.
so I'm done with it.
That's raising the red alert. So,
He's already got his boots on.
I think that's enough direction, and then I know that there's a few members of the public here. I want to make sure everyone's aware, we don't take public comments at meetings of the TRC. If you have any questions about the matters that you're hearing about, you're always welcome to approach the staff after the meeting, give us any comments you have, but we don't use this meeting as not a forum for public comments.
Okay.
So,
So I can't make a comment
You-
about one of the,
you can certainly ask us questions. You can follow up with us after the meeting. The purpose of TRC is we don't take public comments at this meeting, and we make
I
that.
just saw it here and then I noticed something down here that I questioned.
You're welcome to bring that question to me. This is not gonna
Yeah.
get a decision
Okay.
anytime soon. This is a pre-application
Okay.
informal stage of review.
Okay,
They don't have a full binding stage in front of us. They need to do a lot of engineering to get there.
I wasn't here for him, but
Yeah.
actually this last one. So I will.
Jefferson Pines.
Yeah,
Understood. Yeah, the way we handle is you can always email me comments, and
Okay,
then
what was
staff is aware. You can also just discuss with us, but we don't take the
can't
comments
get
here.
comments here, because I think something down here is it's wrong. So I will address it later.
Fair enough.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome to stick around and see how the Jefferson Pines conversation goes. We'll be doing that in a few minutes. Yeah. We don't mind that you're here, and we don't mind that you see how the comments are going with the
Am I the only
comments.
one?
No, there's another member of the public. as well.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Public myself.
Oh, okay, great. But that concludes everything for this matter. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next item of business.
All right, thanks.
Next item,
Sir?
yes,
Just a question.
yes,
Jefferson Drive, there's a development going in on the right-hand side of the street.
yes,
Are you gonna be discussing that here?
yes. Not next, the last matter.
Okay.
Yep. All right, the next item of business is item 4.2 Coventry Spring Lake. This is for comments to myself, the administrative officer. This is at 60 Wood Street. The applicant's proposing to install a new 10 by 15 concrete pad to host cabinets for batteries and generators in support of equipment upgrade to an existing cell tower. Is there anybody here on behalf of this application? I did not think so. So to be quite honest, we'll go around for comments, but this application is really to make changes to an existing cell tower. And technically what they're giving us triggers the idea that there is square footage of new building there. I think in an abundance of caution, we're bringing this through a TRC review and just to get the comments, but this is not particularly a strong land use change of what's happening on the ground. It's just adding a structure below an existing cell tower. With that being said, we'll still take the comments. On this one, were there any comments from engineering? Mike, do you mind leading us off again?
Engineering has no comments.
All right. Josh, I think we have a few for planning.
Yeah. Planning staff notes that this proposal is in addition to an existing telecom tower. Planning staff notes that due to the addition of less than 7,500 square feet of commercial/industrial building area, this application falls under a minor land development.
Great, thank you. Any comments from you, Chief Heiss?
No comments on this side.
All right, any comments, Director McGee?
No comments.
All right, well, then this went very quickly. The applicant is not here. Any other thoughts or feedback on this application at this time? Hearing none, I will consider that matter and all the comments complete, and we will move right next to the next item of business. The next item of business, please feel free to join us at the head of the table, applicant, is 4.3 Jefferson Pines. This is for comments to the Planning Commission. What's being proposed is a pre-application. This is a non-binding stage of review. It's a first step to have a conversation between the applicant and the community. This will be heard as a pre-application at the Planning Commission at next week's meeting. That meeting will be on the date of June 25th at 6:30 p.m. That's when this will be back in front of the planning application at Town Hall. This is for the applicant's address, or the subject property address is 49 to 87 Jefferson Drive. And this is the applicant is proposing to construct a 16,000 square foot two-story building containing 32 residential units on approximately 1.5 acres of land as a comprehensive permit. A comprehensive permit requires a certain amount of the development be considered deed restricted affordable. In this case, they are proposing a minimum of 75% of the units will be deed restricted as affordable. The resulting,
Other way.
25%.
oh, I'm sorry, what did I say?
70%.
75, yeah. No, well, we're just making suggestions.
Aspiration.
Making suggestions. A minimum of 25% of the residential units will be deed restricted. The resulting density of this project would be 21.3 units per acre. So that's enough of the overview. We'll get right into the comments. Dennis, do you mind leading us off with the planning comments?
Sure. Planning comments are as follows. Planning staff notes that this development is being proposed as a state-enabled comprehensive permit application per Rhode Island General Law 4553-4 with access to public water and sewer, and 25% of the proposed units designated as LMIH units, which makes it eligible for a density bonus of an additional 5 units per acre. The 1.54 acre subject parcel is located in the GB General Business Zone and therefore is not afforded any underlying residential density. Based solely on the 5 unit per acre bonus, the minimum number of residential units allowed for this development is 7.7 total units. The proposed apartment building will have 32 total units, which amounts to a density bonus of 20.78 units per acre. Planning staff recommends that the applicant reconsider their proposed density to be closer to the minimum of 7.7 units per acre or increase their percentage of units designated as LMIH to allow for greater density according to state law. For Rhode Island General Law 4553-4, the applicant can designate 50% of their units as LMIH and achieve a density bonus of 9 units per acre, and therefore be entitled to a total number of 13.86 units. At 100% LMIH, they can achieve a density bonus of 12 units per acre and therefore be entitled to a total number of 18.48 units. Planning staff notes that this project will require waivers for rear setbacks, maximum lot coverage, and multifamily residential use, among other issues. For rear setbacks, the applicant proposes 16.4 feet where 30 feet is required. For lot coverage, the applicant proposes 66.9%, where 60% is the maximum. Multifamily is not currently allowed in any zoning district. Per the subdivision regulations, Article 13, Section B, street design standards, the applicant will be required to plant street trees and install streetlights on the subject property. Planning staff notes that there is an existing sidewalk that extends along the full length of the subject parcel's frontage of Jefferson Drive. The applicant should consider increasing the separation distance between the proposed apartment building and the nearby single-family house at 95 Jefferson Drive, and should provide some sufficient buffers and/or screening to mitigate potential issues. At the next stage review, the applicant shall provide the following in addition to other required info: letter of eligibility from RI Housing, as well as project pro forma, a traffic study that will be subject to peer review, a landscape plan that will indicate the proposed content of all buffers, sewer will serve letter with flow calculations and any sewer capacity analysis to achieve the same, and to show locations of sewer and water lines in proximity to the project site.
Thank you, Dennis. Mike, do you have comments from engineering?
Engineering comments are as follows. Upon project completion, a certificate of conformance from the civil engineer of record shall be required. The CFC shall certify that the constructed project meets all required standards, regulations, and specifications in the permitting and construction documents. The COC shall be focused on site civil related work. Work includes but is not limited to all drainage system components, drainage related to retaining wall placement, earth grading, roadway subbase, pavement, concrete flat work, underground utilities such as sewer, electric, and water, survey markers and monuments, and fire cisterns. Engineer of record shall partner with a qualified subconsultant to perform necessary inspection-related duties if engineer of record does not perform these duties in-house. All coordination between engineer of record and inspection subconsultant shall be finalized before construction commences. Separate COCs shall be required from the structural engineer of record and the geotechnical engineer of record as applicable. A certificate of occupancy will not be issued until COCs are received and accepted by the town. Comments for the plans. First, submission of a town of Coventry soil erosion and sediment control application will be required for the project. Second, a town of Coventry sewer connection application will be required for the proposed sewer connection. Third, stormwater management shall be provided for the site and meet state and town requirements. Fourth, wheel blocks shall be required in parking spaces that are abutting the proposed sidewalk. And fifth, engineering takes exception to the 6.9% lot coverage exceedance.
Thank you very much, Mike. Comments from police on this one?
So for this one, a traffic study should be completed at the next stage in the process in order to properly evaluate the impact the development would have on the traffic in the area. A peer review of the traffic study may also be required in the future.
Thank you very much. Director McGee, any comments from DPW on this?
Yeah, there is. Historically, there's an existing high water table in the area affecting properties near the Tioga Avenue property. Stormwater control need to take these water tables into consideration during design. And when utilities are extended down Jefferson Drive, the roadway will be curb to curb, as this was recently repaved roadway. A soils condition report needs to be provided in order to determine structural needs of any imported soils. The vegetative buffer should be included along the property AP 28 lot 40.7 for screening.
That completes, actually, I'm sorry, that does not complete. I believe we've got a comment from the applicable fire district, and I'm going to read that here for the record. This is coming from Coventry Central Fire District. Water supply for fire suppression purposes for the proposed building must meet the minimum requirements set by NFPA, and street lighting and parking lot lighting shall be installed to assist with night operations and apparatus placement. unless anyone sees anything I've missed, I believe that's all the comments we received on this at this time. So with that being said, it's a pre-application. Now it's an opportunity just for any feedback or conversation response from the applicant and any back and forth that we may want to have. Applicant, the floor is yours.
Sure. So, I guess I really need to, I did a little figuring in my head, I have an email. Confirm how, the planning department calculated, the density, because, certainly not the way, I approached it, so I just wanna make sure I understand. Kind of like, not to bring us back to high school algebra, but the, order of operations. So I guess the first thing I'd like to confirm is that the planning department merged the 4 lots before making the calculation. Is that correct? I mean, I don't know who did the calculation.
Yeah, I mean, the
So right now,
1.5 acres is the 4 lots combined, aren't
It's
they?
currently 4 lots, right?
Yeah, and that number of 1.54 acres is the 4 lots combined. Is that correct?
I got a slightly higher number, but I'm not here to quibble about that.
Okay.
But, so before you made the calculation, you merged the lots.
Well, when you say we merged, we didn't take an action to remove property lines, but we,
No, tax did that already, but,
Yeah. No, we basically
Yeah.
made the assumption, and I think that number 1.54 acres was coming from the plan.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
That's what's on the plan,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
That's fine, no, but that's what you did. You took the 4 lots, you made them 1. So you made,
Yes.
yeah, all right, I'm just trying to figure this out.
So the
Alright.
other, can I?
Go ahead, yeah, I'm gonna keep
So the
going.
other question with the state law is,
I'm not done.
I'm sorry, I am.
You should see us fight. I mean, all right, so you took the 1 lot, and then I saw that, I think, this is what I'm trying to confirm. Because it's in a general business zone, you awarded or started with 0 rights to 0 homes on this lot.
Correct.
That's contrary to state law, but we're not here to argue.
Well-
So, but 0 lot, okay. Houses. All right. So then,
Do you have an argument as to another allowance for residential in that area?
sure, a comprehensive permit can be approved on any zoning district
But the-
according to state law.
But the density bonus follows that you get a density bonus of 5 units per acre on top of the underlying zoning.
Right.
We're just making the statement, the underlying zoning does not allow residential.
Just disagree. The state law says you can put residential and a comprehensive permit in any zone.
So what you're suggesting is that the baseline density should be the allowance of residential that a comp permit allows, and then the bonus would be the comp permit on top of a envisioned comp permit beneath it?
That's right.
Yeah, that's
That's
a
I
unique
mean,
interpretation.
I don't think so. I mean, I think I started with 4 lots, 4 units. Said, I mean, this is just being conversational. And then, went from there. And I could see that, once I read what you guys did, you took 1, but you can't start with 0, the bonus, not to go even go further back in our math class, right? The bonus ended up being 0. 5 times 0 is 0. Like, it's not, I think it's contrary to state law, but I'm not here to argue. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah.
So then, the last thing I just want to confirm is that even though the state law says that the 5 bonus lots density
5
is
units per acre.
right, is the minimum,
Thank you very much.
that's the position that the town is taking as is what's allowed.
It's the position of the town that we're pointing out that state law has established there's a minimum density allowance.
Right.
Which is 5 units per acre on top of whatever the underlying zoning allows.
Right.
And on this lot, staff is interpreting that to be, since there's no underlying allowance in baseline zoning, we're interpreting the allowance as 5 units per acre. That comes out to 7.7 total units on the site. And that's what we would infer you are entitled to with the comprehensive permit at this specific affordability threshold of 25%.
Right, so why do you take the state law that says minimum 5 unit density bonus and make it the maximum?
We didn't say the word maximum.
No.
We're saying that's the
This
minimum.
is allowable. I mean, that's,
The minimum. Yeah, it is. I think our comments are just pointing out that's the minimum the state law provides for.
not really what it says, Doug, and that's why this is all just conversational. That's why I'm trying to understand
Yeah.
the position of the town. I mean, obviously.
We understand that you are
Yeah.
allowed to ask for more than 5 units per acre. The state law calls out that's the minimum that you're entitled to. Do we
Right.
disagree on that?
No, we agree on.
Okay,
That's
so
not-
we're pointing out that the minimum you're entitled to on this lot, of this number of units, is 7.7 units. I
Gotcha.
believe you're seeking 32.
That's right.
So I think we'd be very interested to hear how you arrived at 32 as a justifiable number.
Well, I didn't really think of it, I mean, in terms of exact map. You know, does this fit the area, fit the adjoining uses? Is it located in a terrific spot for the town of Coventry? You know, all those things. The economics of the project. There's no mathematical formula for 32 other than, that's what fit in an area where it would be a good fit. So that, you know, I just wanted to understand what you guys did here, because a couple of those first assumptions kind of threw me a little bit, you know, I mean, we're dealing with Glenwood Park next door, you know, doesn't have this kind of density, you know, less dense than what we're proposing. But similar use, I think the red light, you know, sewer, the water, bus service, all the stuff that used to be in the comp permit statute about what you were looking for from citing one of these locations are all, you know, fit well here. You know, I was a little thrown back by the traffic study, because I was only looking at the light and thinking, wow, this is great, but once I thought about it, I realized everyone's gonna cut through the neighborhood to get to 95. That's gonna be one, not a typical study. There are about 8 streets that exit onto Hopkins Hill Road. So I don't know what that's gonna look like, but, you know, I see the point now, though, I do. Because I was thinking everyone's gonna, well, take a left, go St. John Paul Church, you know, go their happy way, but that's not how people operate, as we all know.
Yep.
So, you know, I totally get the point of that. I just really needed to understand what assumptions the planning department made when they were making that argument. And I guess if we're gonna approach it from that way, I'll develop, you know, what I think is an appropriate calculation as well. So that's fine. I just wanted to just make sure I understood where it's coming from.
Yeah, no, I think what we're doing on the planning staff comments with Christine, pointing out basically what state law is pointing out. That this is a type of application you can certainly utilize. This type of application at 25% has a certain minimum threshold of density that you're entitled to. And that's a barometer for our review. I'm not suggesting that that's the maximum, but I think that the minimum that you're entitled to is a good barometer for review. The amount of density you're seeking would be above and beyond what a project that gave us 100% affordable housing. So if the town's goal is to seek affordable housing, and it is a goal of ours, we would say this kind of density is more appropriate if you're gonna offer 100% affordable. Then we're getting a project that's giving us greater density, but it's really meeting our affordable need. Now, you know, that may not be what your intent is, that may not be in the plans at all, but I think those are numbers that are worth everyone being aware of, because the state has set out specific thresholds for it, and I think that we will rely on those. By all means, you're welcome to make, you know, the arguments for, you know, this being the right place, right time, right situation to go above and beyond that. But at the end of the day, you'll be making those arguments to the planning commission.
Yeah,
So,
you asked me how I got to 32, you know, that's how we got to 32, you know, so. But I just wanted to understand how you guys got to 7.7, so that I could, you know, try to go through the statute carefully and make my own.
yeah, you believe you've got bigger lots than 1.54 acres?
No, I'm accepting of whatever it is.
Okay.
You know, that is not the way that we approach it. I mean, we treat this as if we have 4 lots, just to begin with. You know, just as a baseline. So we're just coming at it from different, you know, kind of circumstances. But I'll make that mathematical calculation, and then I'll argue that we should get more. I'm being, you know.
But that's your role to advocate for the application.
Sure.
That's in front of us. I mean, I think it's just fair warning that. And I think we just see a pretty big difference between what state law is providing as a minimum and what you're seeking. And we're calling attention to that difference. So that's what the staff comments are on.
What do you think about the density at Glenwood Park? I mean, do you find that to be excessive?
Do you have the density of that property?
No,
then I don't have it offhand. I mean, I think that would be part of your
It's-
job as the applicant to articulate why.
412 units on about 20 acres.
How many apartments are gonna be?
Sorry, we don't take public comments at this meeting. I appreciate it. You can ask questions to me after the meeting's over.
I mean, I'm relying on the tax assessors.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
if
think
that's a smart thing.
you're certainly within your position to advocate for the
Yeah.
project and use the abutting projects as the basis for that. However, ultimately, that doesn't change the number of units that state law has pointed out that you're eligible for, but you could make an argument you're eligible for a bit more. That might be a bit of an argument.
You know I will, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
absolutely.
might have a lot of discussion around that.
Yeah, 420 units on 4.8 acres.
All right, so it's 100, I don't know, it's more than that. I don't know. I
No,
could.
yeah, we don't have to do it right now. I'm just
But
asking.
no, I
In
understand.
general,
I
what's the
under-
comfort level with that?
Yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, this project, that's its back. That would be this project's back, yard.
Yeah.
So we look at this project.
Well, we're also its drainage pond, but you know,
But we look at this project in the context of the abutter to the south, which is a single family house. We look at this project in the context of the impact of the right of way, which is a neighborhood that, to my understanding, is largely single family houses to the south. So I think that we're also looking at the project in the context of the roadway network, where that roadway network intersects with other uses. So, but I think, you're right, there's nothing that stops you from asking for more than the minimum threshold. And that's the use of the pre-app.
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
the value of the pre-app, is to
Yeah.
get a better barometer on that.
I'm so, Pat, I interrupted you.
No, we got it.
No,
I mean, I
I'm
was just
sorry.
gonna say that the state law says at least
Yeah.
5 units, not.
Yeah, we're not describing it as a
Okay,
maximum.
so I had a couple other questions on the TRC comments that we got this afternoon. One is about the streetlights.
Yep.
And I know that's the fire.
Yeah, that's fire. They're not
Because
there.
across the street is commercial. Up until it goes past that place, it's the old Coventry River. place now, like,
Go plumbing.
Yeah, Pike Place, so there really are no streetlights there.
Okay.
As opposed, for parking lot, that's fine, not a big deal. The letter of.
Is the comment is that.
It's just more of a question, because it would be
Yeah.
kind of out of sync with the rest of that area, probably be providing actually more illumination than may or may not be needed. in this
Understood.
Area.
Yeah, I mean, that's a small detail that I
Okay.
feel like we could probably get a better feel for from fire,
And-
what they thought on that.
And we did show that the walkway along the front of the building would extend down to meet the existing sidewalk that is on Jefferson.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah. I
fine,
mean, you guys basically have a sidewalk right in front of you to start.
along Jefferson.
Along
So we're
Jefferson.
gonna Put a walk along the front of the building that would extend down to the sidewalk.
Makes sense.
Kevin and you and I had talked about the sewer way back when, 100 years ago. Paving the street was, that's a kind of given. It is a 10-inch sewer line that comes off of Tyoke, so
Is there-
there's plenty of capacity.
Is there any current lateral off of Tioga, or would you be
Yeah.
coming off of Tioga?
No, there is.
How
there's
far does
stuff.
it get, how far is it from your property?
It's probably right near that intersection, so it goes up, I think the medical building has a stub there, but then
It's at the intersection of Jefferson and Tioga.
on Jefferson.
Oh, okay.
So that's an issue. So regarding this letter, is that a letter we get from you, Kevin?
will serve.
Or from
No, engineering.
engineer?
Engineering will provide a will serve, and then, that's something that occasionally, they'll look at what the capacity of the system is, and if they feel like, oh man, you're catching us at a time where I can't really demonstrate the system has capacity, there might be a discussion around that. Obviously, this project's counting on sewer, so I think that it's more, it's
Right,
in your
and
interest to sort out, are there sewer issues?
Well, I had already talked to Kevin about that quite some time ago. We have to extend the sewer up across
That's before we got a comment.
the front.
Kristen, he tied into that.
Well, still. They're not tied in yet, you probably. Okay, landscape plan, that was a given, not a big deal. About the lot coverage, where we're looking for the percent, we provided 2 spaces per unit.
Yep.
which is 64, we're actually providing 69 for a little overflow.
Yep.
Typically on these projects in the past, they were granted 1.5 spaces per unit.
Yep.
Is that something, because I mean, we can reduce the amount of pavement there.
Yeah. I mean, if you were to ask me, the order of operations would be this. You're a little bit above our lot coverage percentage. You're right next to a wetland. I'm not gonna speak for the
It's not a
engineer.
That's an incorrect statement. It's an area subject to flow.
I just saw a flagging on the,
No, it's an area subject to flow and it has no buffer,
does it trigger DEM jurisdiction?
only if we impact that area.
Will your project?
I gave you the
impact that area?
wetlands, no, I gave you that wetlands report from, Mr. Avenue.
Okay,
That was included.
so your position is that you've demonstrated that there will be no DEM.
We haven't gotten into, we don't know. We haven't gotten into, we may be doing a RIPD's permit if we disturb more than an acre. So either way.
I would assume you're disturbing more than an acre on an acre and a half site where you're pretty much touching the whole site, right?
Correct.
Okay, so, I mean, my take on it would be lot coverage percentage is not a nothing conversation, but I do understand that this tool allows you the ability to seek relief from any number of our zoning or subdivision regulations as a waiver. Obviously, the biggest piece is that you may not need that lot coverage percentage if you were not providing 32 units. That would greatly reduce the number of parking spaces that you would need, and likely greatly shift how much of this lot would need to be covered by impervious surface. But the other components of it is, it's true, you're allowed to seek that, and I just think that in this circumstance, the engineer said he took exception to it, and that's not coming from Mike, actually. Mike's sitting in for Joe.
Oh, I know.
But you can certainly talk with Joe about the nature of the comment he had.
Mhm.
But I think that, you know, it's a tight site and you're looking to do a lot there.
Okay. And then, see, the wheel blocks. That I asked you, Mike. or
Yeah,
is that-
That would be a joke.
I mean, that's a safety thing too. I mean, were you not looking to put wheel blocks for?
Well, we have a curb and a sidewalk. Typically, you don't have boats.
I'm not gonna speak for engineering, but as I've done parking lots. My life here, it's, you put a wheel block. So that the front of the car doesn't impact into the sidewalk. Somebody's walking by.
Because we can wiggle it too. I mean, I mean, usually the wheel blocks, are a maintenance nightmare.
It is. Again, those can be put into the temporary, if you remove in winter time. But he left just a sidewalk and the curb is an integral part. Front of the vehicles will be impacting over the sidewalk area itself. Yes.
Did you receive any comments, from fire or police about the setback to the rear of this building?
No, I mean, the comments we have are pretty much what we just read. So, no, I'm not sure what you're thinking of there. From the setback of this building.
Here's, from the, going up Jefferson to the rear of this building is a pretty significant elevation change. The rear of our building would face that, and, Pat and I tried to figure out access best we could. I'm just wondering if there was any comment on that.
Not at this stage, no. No.
Will that need to be, a wall done here?
We're all asking the wrong people these questions, Pat. Is there-
We haven't gotten it that far, so we were at step 1, and that's where we got it, and then we
Yeah,
can go from there.
right. All right.
But this one will be reviewed by the planning commission next week, Wednesday, June 25th, 6:30 PM. Right across the street at Town Hall, so that'll be at the commission's pleasure. And it will allow for public comment at that meeting on Wednesday night. As a courtesy for any member of the public that wishes to attend, we will allow public comment at that meeting. Any interested member of the public is also welcome to ask staff questions about this project, as they see fit after the TRC is done. Do you guys have any more other questions on your end? After what we've heard, any more comments from the TRC on this one? All right, well, then that concludes our TRC meeting, and I will consider this meeting adjourned at 2:18 PM.
Under an hour.
We did it under an hour.
I don't know. I'm commending you, under an hour.
Yeah, we'll take it. Give me 1 second, sir.